Hello, everybody. Hello. Good to see your faces. The last time in 24. All right, let's jump straight into this. Miss Steph, you will go first tonight. I was looking for Steph, but your name's Cobalt Constructions, but that's okay. I know who you are.
Sorry.
That's okay. No problem.
I think I know how to.
Don't even worry. It's fine. No, don't even worry. It's fine. No problem. Okay, so let's just have a little bit of a there's a few things that you can do with it. What's your son's name? Hendrix, that's right. I thought it was Henry, and I'm like half right. Okay. There is some definitely like some, some unsettledness in his spirit at the moment. And what's really important as well, like I remember dealing with this similar issue with actually Emma Rivers' daughter, Eden, and it was a bit different, but the level of emotional dysregulation that she would have from it, like the real, like, she'd become so hypervigilant, was around just like a separation anxiety. And I'm going to share with you something that I shared with them, because I did this one conversation and with them, and then she ended up like 3 days later going on a school camp because Emma came to the call going like, she's registered for the camp. I know she's not going to go, like she's going to need me, miss me, whatever. And this little girl had attachments to lots of things. Like she couldn't even go sleep at her grandma's house on the weekend because she was attached to her bunny rabbits that couldn't go to grandma's house, that had to stay home and things like that. So but the point is, it doesn't matter what the attachment is. It's more just like the unsettled energies of a child feeling like they're okay, or that they are held, or that they are safe and supported, right? And so we need to give them something that they can't ever not have. They can't ever lose. It's not like a, like let's say like a teddy bear or something like that they can lose or whatever. And I used to do this with my kids when I used to go to America. I used to go to America twice a year back in my network marketing days. And at the time, my kids were, 2, 4, 6 and 3, 5, 7. They were little, and I'd go for, anywhere from 6 days to 10 days or something. And of course, they'd miss me. And so the same principles, and I just feel like we need to give Hendrix something that helps him feel connected without needing you specifically, that he feels like he's okay, and you're not the only place where he can get that feeling from, so that he doesn't become codependent. Not that you're intentionally building a codependence with him, but he is building a codependence with you. And the thing that makes that really unhealthy is that as he goes through his life, he'll just take that, like, because you're not codependent back the other way. You're letting him have these experiences. You're okay with letting him have some feelings and go on a bus and go on camp and all of these things. What will happen is it's like an addiction. It's like someone who's addicted to alcohol, and then to get off alcohol, they just become addicted to exercise, and they can justify it because exercise is healthier than alcohol, and they don't become angry and get at, bash the family or something, but it's still an addiction. Do you know what I mean? So they just take it from one space to the next space. So he needs to feel like he has access to something that never leaves him. Do you talk about what are your beliefs in regards to God or universe or any? Let me just start there and just get a feel for your values and your family, so I can give it to you in a way that works with your family. Do you guys talk about anything higher than us, or?
We talk about the universe.
Okay.
He went to a Seventh-day Adventist school for a couple of years, so he's been educated God and the Bible and things, but he's not taken to it. But yeah,
yep.
I think about the universe and what's meant to be,
Great.
and attracting things to us.
Okay, excellent. So he's got a concept of something bigger, and yes, it's probably a good thing that he didn't connect too much to Seventh-day Adventists, because as much as they're like, giving the connection to God, they're also those kind of religions are very deeply rooted in being punished, having to repent, and all of these things. So that's good that he didn't, grab too strongly with that. So, so here's what I did with Emma. Here's what I used to do with my kids. I'm going to suggest this an idea, and you can just like take it and feel free to ask me questions, but and do something to make it your own. So when I used to go away overseas, I had what I called a whisper jar. The downside of this is if you lose the whisper jar, like it was like this little thing with a butterfly on top. And basically what I told my girls is that, you know, that no matter where I am in the world, that our hearts are connected, and that I can hear what they say to me. I don't hear it with my ears, but I feel it in my heart. I feel the energy that, so if you miss me and you want to tell me, Mummy, I love you and I wish you were here and I can't wait to see you, that if you whisper it into this whisper jar, that while we're sleeping, that what your heart was feeling while you whispered it into your jar, that would come to me, and I could be in the middle of the day in America and be like, oh, I just thought of Miami. Oh, I just had a feeling on my heart for Bayer, you know, and that's because what I'm receiving is what you've just sent me from your heart. And so even though I don't hear, because in the beginning I actually said, no, I'll be able to hear what you say. And then they're like, oh, did you hear what I said last night, Mum? What did I say? What did I say? And I'm like, oh, shit, I can't tell you what I heard, right? I have to tell you what I felt. And so that was our little thing, right? Then when I realized, because one day they went to, Greg sent them up to, while I was away, Greg sent them up to his mum's house and forgot to send the whisper jars, and I was away, and they thought that, you know, Mummy will be waiting for a message from me and I can't do it with whisper jars. So after that, we ended up just doing it with our hands. Hey, if this is your own little whisper jar, and you can make a whisper jar and you feel it in your heart and then you speak it, because our words carry vibrations, and they do. This is an absolute truth. Is what I've taught them as well, that words are just like the vehicle that deliver what we feel. Words are just our way of communicating something we feel with somebody else. So words are like the car that take the people to the place, but words are the car and the people are the feelings. So the words carry the feelings to the location. And so, you know, we ended up just doing like this little whisper jar thing like this, and they'd whisper into it so that they could never lose that, right? Like no matter where they were, they could whisper, they could send it to me, my heart would receive it. And I told them, I said, and I'll send them back to you. I said, you watch, you pay attention. There'll be times in your day where all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, I'm thinking of my mum. Oh, I think I felt something in my heart. That's probably because at that moment I'm sending you a little whisper jar and your heart's receiving it, right? And so then they literally would look out for a moment and they would feel them, like their heart would open, they'd miss me, they'd think of me, and they're like, oh, that must be my mum sending me a whisper. And it helped them have a tangible experience. I tried to make tangible for kids something that's very intangible, right? But it worked forever. Like it was incredible, right? And then when we had people die, like grandparents and like mine and Greg's grandparents, things like that, I used the whisper jar there. That, you know, hey, even just like, remember, you know, just like when Mummy was in, my body wasn't beside you, my ears couldn't hear you, but my heart could feel you. And so now that Nan-Nan's gone, it's the same thing. Just because we can't see her body doesn't mean that her spirit can't feel what we send to her heart, right? That was huge for my kids. And so what we did with Emma was, it is better. I said this to Emma. I said, look, I would suggest, especially for the first time going on camp, that she has something sensory. She has something that is tangible, a rock or a gemstone. I said to her, I think this is like three at least years ago, and I said to her, take Eden to a gem shop, you know, like one of those spiritual shops or whatever, and let her choose a gemstone. It'll cost you $3 or something. Like, let her feel like what color, read the message, like just go where your heart's called and find one. And then maybe the both of us, we can put our hands over it, and we, you know, that night we like whatever, say a prayer, or we say good things, or we think good things, and we realize all the love between us, and we hold it, my hand and your hand, like together, it's in them, and all of our heart's energies are going into that. So no matter where you go on camp, you can take that with you, and you'll be able to feel our connection. Like, this has got my love and your love in it, and anytime you hold it, you can connect to us. And I'll tell your teachers that you're allowed to carry this on you, and you can put it in your pocket. But don't worry if they say nothing in your pockets or something one day, or they, you know, take you sorry, let me mute that. You know, or if they say no, you can't bring anything, it's okay, leave it in your room, like it's still there, you know, you can come back to it later, that kind of a thing, right? So that works amazingly well if you can do that in a way that connects with your child. And I think that's where I can't help. I don't know your child like you know your child, but something that gives him hey, anytime you miss me, Anytime you feel like you need to feel like I'm with you, even like when you're at K2 and he was with your mum or something, it also can become a pattern interrupt where, let's say, your mum in that scenario, when that whole thing happened, can be like, hey, where's your stone? Go and hold your stone. Okay. If you feel like you need to be with mummy now or daddy now or whatever, go and hold your stone. Where's your stone? You know, and it just gives them something to go look for. It also gives them something to hold and to touch. And all of those sensory senses are like a pattern interrupt for their brain as well. Yeah. He needs something like that. Like, I feel like I can almost guarantee you that this will make a difference. Will it solve every single little thing? I don't know, because he also has to trust it. And he has to believe, and believe and trust are a personal thing. Like, he gets to choose what he chooses to trust and what he chooses to believe. So he can block his beliefs if he doesn't want to believe in this. So it's not a guarantee. But something like that. So tell me, just, like, I'll hand over to you and let you just share your thoughts or ideas or ask questions or whatever. But that's ultimately what we want to try and create for him. Something that he could take with him that originally needs to be a tangible thing. I think it was very helpful for a child to have something that's real, that they can touch, not just like, once they can connect to the feelings, then they can access the same feeling without the thing. Right. So eventually you want to get to a place where you don't need the thing, because one day you might not have the thing. And then, it's like a child that loses its dummy or something like that. Like it's a security piece.
Yeah. I'm loving both of those, the whisper jar and the gem shop. Like, he will love going to the shop. He enjoys the crystals and.
Does he? Okay. Beautiful.
We went from the Seventh Day Adventist, quite an academic school, to the Steiner School.
Oh, brilliant. Did you?
Yeah, so we made that big change at the start of this year.
Yes, I think you told me that, actually. Yeah, love Steiner. Yeah.
Owen's passing. I guess I just wanted to pick your brain on top of all of that, because it's literally like a switch has flipped in my child, and I don't recognize him at the moment. Like, he has never, like, he went through that little bit of separation when he was 5, when my grandparent died and Jared's did. But at the moment, he's so angry, and and when he came home from camp, he's 9.5.
Yeah.
Just asking. And he was just so angry. Like, I could hear him in the background of the teacher's phone call, and he was screaming, and he's hysterical, and he's like, you lied to me. And then he comes home and he's so full of regret for the actions and behavior. He's like, I don't want people to see me as an angry person. I'm not an angry person. I'm having a difficult time. I'm not an angry person.
So firstly, he needs to know there's no shame in even being an angry person. There's no shame in having anger. It takes a lot of courage to express anger. But anger is a cover emotion for hurt and fear. Yeah. So what I would help him explore and just always add to his sentences, and even in moments where he is angry and he's getting, even if he's just having a little argument at home or something like that, or he's getting angry. Anger is how we protect ourselves from the more vulnerable states, which is hurt and fear. And this is an absolute fact. I teach this at Happy Talk, right? Where it's like, okay, next time you feel angry, honestly, you ask yourself, what is hurting? What's hurting me? Or what am I afraid of right now? Yeah, a lot of the times the reason you get angry and fight with your partner is because you're afraid that you won't be listened to. You're afraid that you won't be heard. You're afraid that, you won't be understood or whatever. So you think, so to protect the fear of that vulnerability, you get angry about it to try to force your way of being heard, for example, to get away from the fear, right? Just as an example. Or, when somebody, we find it easy to go, no, that really pisses me off. That's really pissed me off. Well, it hasn't pissed you off. It hurt you. But to say that really hurt, like what you just said, not pisses me off, it hurt. That's a much more vulnerable state. It's a much more powerful place too. Like that'll open compassion and empathy in the other person more than telling them you're pissed off. Because when you're pissed off, they'll just match your level of intensity and aggression or whatever with their own. They don't have something to protect. But when you go vulnerable and say that really hurts. It really hurts to hear you say that, for those words to come out of your mouth. That now they can't attack the wounded animal, if that makes sense. Like there's a sense of like, they might try fob it off because they don't want to feel what they're feeling, but they'll barely ever add fuel to that fire, right? So helping him explore, darling, you know what, you're not an angry person. This is what grief looks like. Yeah, when you lose something or you lose someone, or it even hits you that lives can be lost, like Kerwin died and grandma, grandpa. Like when these things happen, especially when you're a bit older, like you are now, compared to what you were when grandma died or whatever. There's a lot of grief and there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of hurt in all of that. Like fear, like who else might die? Like, am I okay? Would I die? Or like I didn't know people could just die like that and just be gone like that, as well as actually like I am really, really hurt. And he might not feel like he almost has the right to be hurt, because he's like, well, I didn't really know Kerwin. Kerwin wasn't my best friend. He wasn't my uncle or my dad or something. And so there's often a sense of like what stops us from moving through grief is when we don't give ourselves permission to feel it. And a lot of people, struggle with this part of grief. This is the remnants of grief that gets left around, the parts that you felt, like sometimes you go to someone's funeral, let's say, and you don't even know why, but you feel like you want to howl your eyes out, and like the family aren't even crying as much as you are. And you're like, oh, I'm just a colleague. Like I feel so bad that I'm crying more than the family. And then we try to not let ourselves cry over it or something like that. Like we don't have permission to have our own experience just because we weren't as close to that person. But it's not even really about that person. It's just like the expansion of our nervous system with the energy of grief that we're holding. So I would explore that with him. If he's all of a sudden changed, then there's unprocessed, there's suppressed emotions, and it's probably because he keeps avoiding and abandoning his anger because he thinks that anger's wrong, doesn't want to be angry, like doesn't want to scare people with his anger and hurt people with his anger and then feel regret because of his anger. So there's lots of reasons that he's got in his mind why anger's not okay. And it's not good to be an angry person. Like, I'm not that, I don't want to be seen as that. So because of that, he is avoiding what it really is, right? And so if you're like, hey, this isn't even about anger, you're right, you're not an angry person. You're a person that's really hurt. And you're a person that's probably got a lot of fears right now, and your hurt and your fears are very valid.
Yeah, this is great. This is all making sense to me because every time he's had an anger outburst, it's been after he's become emotional and then he gets embarrassed or feels vulnerable or doesn't want to be in the place that he's at. So he's trying to run away and then he's being stopped from running away. So then he's getting angry. So this whole like avoiding and suppressing, I've been writing notes for you.
Okay, good.
Anger and suppressing, he's avoiding and suppressing feeling and becoming his anger. And I've been having conversations with him since he come back from camp, and then he's been vocalizing that I don't want people to see me as angry and I'm really regretting what I did and stuff. I've been talking to him about how all emotions are acceptable, like all emotions are valid, all emotions are okay. The behavior that you chose in that moment when you were angry, those behaviors and those choices weren't okay. You didn't keep yourself safe, and you didn't like you were lashing out at people, like you were going to hurt. So that's not an acceptable way of dealing with your anger, but anger is okay.
Yeah. So I think if you've already had those conversations, I think you're really going to help him by saying, do you know what I've just realized? Tell him, you can tell him you've had a conversation with someone and go, you know what I've realized? It's not anger. The reason you can't work on it and you can't find a way to fix it is because it's not anger in the first place. We keep trying to fix something, but the anger that's coming out of you, what happens is we feel hurt, we feel fear. And if we don't allow ourselves to feel those two things, and grief, right? If we don't allow ourselves, you can bring grief into this because grief is just a mixture of hurt and fear anyway, right? So if we don't allow ourselves to feel those things, then they have to find a way to like get out of our body, basically. Explain it to him like this, like that those feelings, that our body wants to move those feelings out because the cells of our body literally, like, and this is on a physiological level, they hold on to the chemicals that make up those feelings, right? And when we won't allow ourselves to really sit with our fear, really sit with our hurt and our grief and our broken hearts and all of those things and the things that we're afraid of, they still have to get out of us, but then what they do is they leak out of us. If we don't express what they really are, they find their way out of us and they leak out of us in really unhealthy ways. And they come out as anger. They come out as all these other things, but really it's just hurt and fear, like coming out as anger because we won't sit with what it really is. And so we don't have to work on your anger. You don't have an anger problem, darling. What you have is you're hurt, you're afraid, you don't know how to sit with those feelings, or those feelings feel so big and painful that you're afraid to even sit with fear. You're afraid to even, what you fear is fear. You fear, right? You're afraid of being afraid, right? You're afraid of being hurt. And because of that, the only way that your soul can protect itself is to come from those vulnerable feelings up into something, like up into a higher vibration, which allows, like, anger is used to protect the softness of your heart. That's where we use anger. But anger itself is never to help someone with anger problems. You don't work on their anger. You work on their hurt, you work on their fear, and you explore their grief.
How would you encourage him? Like you say, sit with your feelings.
Yep.
But how does he do that? Or how do I help him?
So, great question. So I would ask him, first of all, let's talk about some things that hurt you. What are all the things that hurt your heart recently? What are all the things, and you do it with him. Go, let's talk about all the things that hurt us, things that hurt our feelings. And we can say anything right now. Like I can say, I feel, when I get angry as a mum, if I think of the moments I get angry and I yell at you or something like that, I'm like, you know what? What's actually happening there for me is I feel a bit hurt because I feel like no one cares about me in that moment. I feel like no one tries to help me out. I feel like no one wants to listen to me. And then I'm afraid of not being respected. I'm afraid of not being a good mum because I try so hard to be a good mum. So then I get afraid that I don't know how to be a good mum and how to ask you guys to get off your tablets or get off your screens or something. And then I get angry because no one has listened to me. But really what's happening to me is, like, I feel a bit hurt and I feel a bit afraid of, like, am I a good enough mum? Do my children respect me? And as soon as I get fear and as soon as I get hurt, I go into anger to protect myself and then I make it happen. And because you're smaller than me, I can easily do that as a parent. Tell him, here's some things about, Daddy, for example. I was angry at Daddy the other day, and now when I look back at that, I was probably really hurt by Daddy. I probably really should have said, Daddy, I don't really like. So just, like, let it be normal. Talk about them, talk about your husband, talk about, like, grandma, anything that, like, makes him go, oh, so my mum and my dad, and, like, all these people have these feelings with each other, right? And see if that encourages him to go, what are the things that hurt you, and what are the things that make you afraid? So what you'd want to do is get him into one of these feelings. Hopefully something can come up. Like, let's talk about Kerwin. Like, because that still hurts my heart. It's been 3 months or more, but that still hurts me. And I don't know about you, but when people die, especially when people die all of a sudden like that and we don't expect it, sometimes I get really afraid of, like, who else might die? Like, who else might, we don't know how long we've got on this earth and how long we've got with other people. And when people die, it reminds us of that. And it might be easier for him to say, me too, than to come up with that idea himself, right? You say that if you pick up intuitively on anything you think he's feeling, say it as though it's your feeling. Find an example in your life that you can go, oh, here's an example of mine, and say it like that. And let him say, me too. Let him include himself in on the feeling that is yours instead of having to explain the feeling himself, right? That will probably be the better way to help bring him into a feeling that you want him to access. Then once he's in a feeling, once you can see that he's got a bit of a trigger, or he might even cry, or he might even not want to talk about this anymore or something like that, like he might go into anger to try to get out of it, right? When he's in any of those places, the best way to teach a child to sit with it is to say, find the feeling in your body. Okay, so let's go into our pain. Let's both of us do this together. Let's go into how much our hearts hurt. Let's go into the moment. Can you even remember the moment that you found out that Kerwin died? I still remember that I got a phone call, or I saw a post, and it said this, and my heart just couldn't believe it. Like, can you remember? Like, do something to, like, trigger it in him a little bit, like to bring it forwards, and it'll also help him talk about it. But if you're doing it with him, it just sounds like it's part of the exercise, right? And then go, okay, let's hold that feeling in our heart, and with your mind, just from the top of your body down, just scan your your body with your mind. Like think about your face, your eyes, your cheeks, your mouth, and go all the way down and see where you've got a feeling in your body. Where is this feeling in your body? So you might notice that all of a sudden you notice your throat is really tight, or your heart feels really heavy, and your chest feels like something's on it, or your tummy feels sick, or your fingers feel tingly. Somewhere in your body, when you're connected to hurt or fear or any emotion, there is a feeling. Find where the feeling is in your body. And once you find where the feeling is, and you might even tell him, oh, I found mine. It's like right under my ribs. It's right in my tummy, and it feels like I don't feel sick. It feels like it's twisting in there. So get him to go, yeah, mine's over here, and mine feels like it's burning. Or, try, if you can, try and get him to, as he tries to describe it, it'll help him connect deeper into it. This is how we do soul integration, right? And then all he needs to do is hold the feeling like a baby. Just the 2 steps are for kids: find the feeling in your body and hold it like a baby. And it might help. I don't know if you've seen this before. I can go tell you. I shared into the group not long ago, maybe a month or two. Somebody asked the question. I can't remember who it was, but I shared when Miami, my 13-year-old, when she was 8, and she was coming out with all this wisdom one night, so I just went live on my phone into like my parenting group, and I shared it into our private group. And she talked in there about that day how she had to go and get blood taken, so she had to get the needles, and have blood taken out of her, not something put in her, but blood taken out. And she, at 8 years old, like just spoke about what she said to herself, and how she found the feeling in her body and held it like a baby or whatever. And I just know there's so many comments on that video of people saying, oh my God, I've shown this to my children. And it helped way more than, like, they heard it from an 8-year-old better than they would hear it from me, because it like makes it normal that another child is doing that. And she was 8 at the time, and she says her age in that video. So that might help him as well, to show him that video. But that's what you want to teach him to do. Anytime with your kids, yourself, I mean, this is how you move through soul expansion. I'm teaching this stuff. I think you were like slightly interested in coming to Purpose Retreat. I'll be teaching how to expand the nervous system, and increase the capacity of the nervous system to hold your emotions and your triggers and things like that. That'll be part of what we do when we do the soul alignment system. And yeah, so this is what you do. You find the feeling in your body for a child and hold it like a baby. So if that feeling was a baby that was crying, that just wanted to be loved and just wanted to know that everything was okay, what would you, just in your mind, what would you say to the baby? If that was a crying baby right now, what would you say? And even if you're like, it's okay, baby, it's okay, I'm here with you, it's okay, I'm here. And even if the baby kept crying and crying, you wouldn't be like, shut up, baby. It's okay, baby, I'm going to stay with you until you're okay. And you'd start patting the baby and holding the baby. And like, you wouldn't be angry at the baby, right? Because the baby can't help it. The baby just wants to know, just wants someone to help it, just wants to know, is somebody there? Like, can somebody hold me? Can somebody love me? That's all the baby needs. So it teaches them to love these fragmented parts of themselves.
Extremely helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, just to raise your kids like that. Honestly, like that thing there, even if you won't do it right now, plant the seed, plant the seed, plant the seed, just fucking all their lives plant that seed. And then, even if you think it's not landing, one day they'll be like 15 at a party, something's going on, and they'll literally just be wired to go into their body and hold themselves. Or they'll break up with a girlfriend and they'll be heartbroken, and they'll be able to be with themselves.
Yeah. No, I'm learning a little bit more about all of that for myself, but I was like, I'm still getting my head around it and about me, and how to then teach that to my child when I'm still learning it myself. So
yeah, definitely. And knowing your soul values. I don't know if you've seen something that you might be into. I know you'll be interested in. I don't know if you've seen, it's just on my personal wall. I think I shared it into this group as well. On Sunday, the 29th of December, I just announced yesterday or the day before that I'm going to do completely free, like a online workshop, like a Zoom call for free on soul alignment system. Just because so many people don't achieve their goals in the new year, they keep telling themselves, next year I'll do this, and next year, and then they're like, they never get there, and then they're back this year setting the same goal as last year, and it's always like next year. And a big part of that, the reason that a lot of people's goals just don't manifest, or they fucking have to grit and grind, they have to hustle and grind for the goal, is because the goal is not even aligned with your soul values. It's not part of your soul's contract. And when you can understand your soul values that are very different from the values that people think are their values, like we get programmed to have values because if family are the most important thing to you, that would make you a good person. You should be someone who values family at the top, and 99% of people family is not a value, or it's not one of the top values. Doesn't mean family aren't important, but we've convinced ourselves so badly that family have to be the value and money has to be, or whatever it might be, success, whatever it might be. All of these, money doesn't matter. I just have to be a good person. All of these things, and then we try to live a life according to that, wondering why we never really find peace in our life, because those are not our values. And if you build a life that aligns with that, you are out of alignment with your soul's values. So I'm going to teach that on the 29th, like for free, just like to my whole entire community. That's something that might, be a good place for you to start, and something you can do, real soon, and that's not going to cost you anything. You don't have to get flights or anything. That I would encourage you. We just did the link today. I just had this moment of inspiration. I put out a post instantly. Like when I get these feelings, I just follow them. I know, when I'm kind of getting my callings, if you like. And I put it out there going, here's the deal. There won't be any replays. Either you're on this call or you're not. I really want to protect the potency of this call. And for that potency, everyone needs to be present. So there won't be any replays. Either this is a priority or it's not. You choose to make it or you don't, and that's fine. And so, yeah, I shared it all, and here's the date and here's what time it's going to be. But give me a couple of days to go and organize the registration page, because I haven't even done it. But Dave did it today, so it'll go out tomorrow. But so go to my personal profile, and we're friends there anyway, and comment on that post. It was yesterday's post. It starts with like, this is another one of those posts from me. It starts like that. So comment down below. So then if you're keen, and I'll send you the link to register. But that I'll be talking about a bit of soul alignment stuff on that. So that if that's what you're really drawn to right now, learning all this stuff and how to align your soul, how to know your soul values, so that then you can also pass it on to your kids, and that's going to rock your world.
Do you know when you'll have dates for next year's retreats? Are they up on the website yet?
I've got them already. So Purpose Retreat is Jan 31 until Feb 2. So like it's it's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you can just go to holytech.com, click on retreats and see it. But Purpose Retreat is end of Jan, 31st of Jan. And Jason Witten's speaking at Purpose Retreat too, just so you know. Then in Happy to Hold, the Healing Retreat, that is 11th of April. That's the first weekend. That's the weekend that's, well, at least in SA, that school finishes for the Easter holidays. So like it's the first weekend of school holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Purpose is, all about aligning your life and, balancing every single thing in your life, your business, your values, your relationships, your healing, just all the things. And having a real sense of peace and passion about, and profits, and money and mission, purpose and profits, finances and fulfillment, all of that. And then Happy to Hold is the Healing Retreat.
Perfect.
Cool.
So much.
You're welcome, darling. Let me know how that goes. I'd be really keen to get an update just along the way. So yeah, I'd love to hear.
Awesome. Thank you.
See you, darling. Okay, who is next? Let me see. Yes. Shelley. Are you there, babe? Oh, are you behind your screen, Shelley? Otherwise, I'll come back to you. No? All right, I'll go to Elle. Elle, I'm coming to you, babe. Are you still here?
Yeah.
Oh, yep, there you are. Let me see. Hang on. First of all, how are you? Oh, I can see her little face. Oh, I want to keep her. Oh, she's so good. How are you feeling, darling?
Yeah, good. Bit tired today.
Yeah, a bit tired today only, not every day. Is she sleeping pretty good?
Going a bit funny, but yeah.
Yeah. She's sleeping good still?
Yeah.
Great. How old is she now? 4 weeks, yeah?
She's nearly
5
6.
weeks. 6 weeks. Holy moly, it goes fast. There you go. So she sleeps good at night, but not during the day. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, unless she's like falling asleep on me in a deep sleep. She just kind of cat naps through the day.
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes she sleeps good. It just depends how she goes to sleep.
Do you wrap her?
Yeah, or in her sleeping bag.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want her to sleep more during the day? I know that's not your question for tonight, but just while we're here, do you want her to sleep more during the day?
It depends how, like, if she falls asleep on me, she tends to go into a deeper sleep, or like in the morning sometimes if I put her back in, it's just noise and stuff I think mostly stirs her. Or
Do you
if
know
she goes,
what often it is? So your letdown in the mornings is often a lot faster and stronger. And I know you've got a good milk supply and a good letdown anyway. So chances are that, look, everybody's first feed of the morning, especially if she's sleeping good at night, we just about drown them basically because we have a faster letdown. And that creates pockets of air like through her digestive tract. And then throughout the day, it's like she gets to a situation where every time she feeds, there's another pocket of air and another pocket of air. And that's why colicky babies only happen at night. They only happen like kind of between 4 and 6 p.m. kind of thing, or 5 and 7 p.m. They scream their guts out, right? And all that screaming actually helps to, all that vibrational frequency inside them, it literally helps to move the air pockets out, right? And then eventually they go back to sleep. And so during the day, two things. Like I'm just giving you my two bobs worth and you haven't even asked for it, but I'll just share with you anyway. Take her off you. It's really annoying, but especially while she's this young and, she's only, got a small tummy and a small mouth and all those kind of things. When you're feeding her, for the first 2 feeds at least in the morning, like around the 6, 7 a.m. feed and around the whatever it might be, 11 a.m. feed or something like that. Feed, like pull her. So first of all, if you do have a big letdown, squeeze some out or pump some out before you put her on, right? Because it's only the fore milk that she misses anyway, which is the thirst quenching milk, and the hind milk is where she gets all her nutrition from. So it's okay. You can keep it and feed it to her in a bottle or something later, or freeze it and give it to her later on or something like that. So get rid of the first little bit if you've got a really big letdown. And in addition to that, whether you think she's doing fine on you or not, take her off you. It's really annoying, but it works. Take her off you in the middle of a feed and she might cry. She might be like, give it back to me, give it back to me. And that's good if she cries. If there's any like air pockets in her, she'll move them out. Take her off you at like a maximum every 3 minutes, every 2.5 to 3 minutes, which means the feed takes longer. It is annoying, yes, but after that, she'll drink more. So, because otherwise they get themselves at a point where like they're too hungry to sleep, but then too tired to feed, right? And so they're both like, I'm hungry and I'm tired. I don't know if I want to sleep or eat first. I can't do either. I need energy to eat, but then while I'm drinking, I just fall asleep. So try that. It'll change a lot. It's really good. It's really important for her immune system to get a lot of sleep during the day. And later on, it'll affect how much she sleeps at night, how much she sleeps in the day. So wrap her really tight. I wouldn't put her in a sleeping bag during the day. I'd do really tight wraps, which also helps with that milk supply, like with, what it is that she's taken in, if she's had to guzzle a little bit because your letdowns are faster in the morning. Because also hormonally, our milk production is more. It's not just that they haven't fed for longer through the night. It's our milk production is more because of our circadian rhythms. Our circadian rhythms control all of our hormones. Our hormones control our milk production, and that's what gives them a big guzzler in the mornings, right? Or for the first part of the days. When you wrap her like in a straight jacket, like literally basically as tight as you can to like pin her arms down. Then when she goes to move and like instead of waking herself up and becoming alert because, she's not sleeping deeply because she's got digestion going on, when she does that, there's a squeeze on her body and she feels like she's being held, but also any any movement she makes, it actually helps her to move wind through her digestive system. So wrap real tight during the day. You may also need to slightly elevate the end of her bed, bassinet, whatever she's sleeping in, and sleep her on her side during the day if you've got a really big letdown. So I just used to like roll like wraps, like, you know, roll them into a big square and then like roll them so they're like a big long sausage, and put one behind, like put them on their side and put one slightly elevated and one behind them and one in front of them, but down below their arms kind of a thing, like down here at the front, from like their chest down at the back, so they can't roll and you're there to watch them anyway. Side sleeping, tight wraps, taking them off you every 3 minutes to burp them, and squeezing the first part of your milk out so that your letdown doesn't overload her tiny, still developing little stomach.
Okay.
Okay, try that, and I bet you it works. All right, if you want her to sleep more during the day. And it's good because if she sleeps more during the day, you can give her good feeds, then you know she's gone for 3 hours. You can get yourself some sleep, and or that's where you can promise, you know, Eden, that you can be, hey, when mummy's finished feeding her, then you choose a game. We're going to play for a long time. We're going to have a whole hour together or whatever. So then you can start making him promises about when he gets access to you, because you really rely on the fact that she'll be down for 2 hours or 3 hours or until the next feed.
Yeah. I think for her transitions anyway, it could be obviously that, but it often, like if she's asleep on me, she goes into a deeper sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I transition her is when she wakes up.
Yeah, so if you're going to put her on you, wrap her first. She needs to be wrapped tight so that her body, like you can then still lay her on you if you want to be close to her, and you know that helps her just go to sleep quicker. And then the only like her body's going to be in the same position, because she's got a reflex. As you take her away from you, her arms like startle, right? That's just a reflex, a primitive reflex, and then it's enough to wake her. So wrap her after feeds and burps and whatever, and then if you want to hold her, of course, but hold her wrapped, so that then when you go to put her down, it's so much easier. You lean your whole body over so she's on her back before she comes away from your chest, like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I told you, I'm like more of a baby whisperer than I am a child whisperer, like what you guys all call me. But and I got the baby whisperer was the first thing I got called all my life. And my friends of mine just had a newborn. I think I told you when you were pregnant with her, like at the beginning of this year. And all of this that I've just said to you, I did with her. Like the CAFS nurses were telling her all these other things. I said, no disrespect, but try this. It works. Straight away. Tight laps, pull her off, burp her every 3 minutes. Pain in the ass. Takes an extra 10, 15 minutes to do a feed. But then you get a baby that sleeps for 3 hours. Okay, anyway, let's go to your actual question. Just wanted to make sure you were looking after yourself while you're adjusting to mother of two life. So Eden's being a bit violent, and you know what? Okay, look, you know, enough water here. You know that he's dealing with a lot, right? With having her there, and he's feeling powerless to change situations when he can't have access to you and all that. And so being angry, being violent, being mean, you know, owning the playground, not letting people on it, like he's not trying to be nasty. That's just how he's getting his power back. That's how he's playing with what control he does have in his life. Yeah. So firstly, try not to take it personally. Don't think that he's becoming an angry child. He's just a child that's expressing some big feelings right now. Yeah, because right now he feels cheated on. If Larry came home with a new partner and said to you, hey babe, like she's going to live with us, like I still love you, but I love her too, and actually I love her as much as I love you. I love you both the same, and I know it might be hard for you to see me kiss her and be with her and not be with you and be with her, but I'm sorry, that's how it's going to have to be because I love you both. Every single part of your humanness could try to comprehend that and make that okay, and it would still make you very powerless, and it still, you would need an adjustment period. That's literally how it feels for the firstborn child when we bring home another baby. Yeah? Imagine
Yeah.
that's what he's dealing with, just so you can have a deep sense of empathy for him, right?
Yeah, I understand that as well, but it's also kind of, I think some of it has even been there before she was
Okay.
sitting here. Like, I think it's obviously exasperated with the baby,
Okay.
but I feel like some of the behaviors have already been there.
Okay.
Just
And how old's Eden now for you?
he's 4, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess it is the ego. It has gotten worse, but yeah, I feel like it was there before she came into the
Okay.
picture. So it was,
Sorry, if that's the case and you need to like really jump on it, like you really need to pounce on it kind of thing before it really does become a habit and all that kind of thing. There has to be natural consequences. He does not in trouble. So that like unfortunately what it's gonna mean is for a while, I can't give you a timeline, that you need to just no talking, just acting. Just you need to just make moves, or you need to make decisions and just like take action instead of trying to explain. We're like, Eden, that's not nice. Eden, put that down. No, Eden, let her. None of that. Just go over, take the stick away. Go over there, lift him up, put him over there. Go right, that's it. Like we're going home. No, we're not. No, I want to stay. No, we don't stay at playgrounds when you can't make choices that are good for other people or whatever. And so you're going to have to be willing to really inconvenience yourself for a little while and be willing to leave, or be like, go, no, come on, we're holding hands. We're going for a walk now. We're not playing on the playground. Yeah, but I wonder, well, when you show me that you can play nicely, then you can go on the playground. And so, no, for now, we're going for a walk or whatever, and you've got to let him move through his tantrums, let him move through his, kicking or whatever he might do to, try and get back the power. But there has to be like instant, there has to be a consequence. And he's old enough now. He's 4. Like you can do this without confusing him, without hitting him. You just have to be pretty consistent. That's all. So you just have to really pounce on it. But it's action. It's no words. Like it's like you tell him the first. He already knows, right? If you're at a playground, let's say, you can say something once, Eden, not okay. Okay, you need to make good choices. You need to share this playground. And if you choose not to share, you're choosing for us to go home. And you give him that warning, and that's it. Next time he doesn't share, or next time he tries to hurt someone or something like that, no words. You just get him and you deal with the wrath of whatever he gives you, and you go home. Even if that means you have to pin him down in the car to get his seatbelt on, or maybe you put him in the car, you shut the door, and you sit there. And you're like, all right, we can't go until you got your seatbelt on, but I'm not fighting you. I'm just going to wait until you have your chance. And you might sit on the side of the road for 20 minutes. Di used to do this. I don't know if you were in the program then, with a couple of her kids after school. No, it's okay. I'm not going to drive when it's not safe, but it's fine. I'll sit here on the side of the road. And like sometimes it would take an hour for her kids, hour and a half. She would have to literally call her mum or her husband and say, could you please come and get the other kids because I need to sit here with Blake. And he can't get away with it.
yeah.
And she did that for months, like 3 months. I mean, her kids came from, like, as you know, like she was very open about the fact that, prior to this program, she was quite abusive to her kids because of her cop background and her PTSD and all that kind of thing. So her kids had dealt with a little way more than what Ian has. So it took a bit longer, but it solved it without yelling, without damaging relationships, without killing the kids' self-esteem. Just no. I will not. You'll soon learn my boundaries are stronger than yours. Hard part is you've got to have the energy to jump on it consistently, and when you've got a baby, it's a little bit harder.
Yeah. Is there a better way, I guess, for me to, like, because often when he doesn't want to leave places, I have to kind of use the threat, I suppose, of, okay, I'm going to go, and then he'll follow me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just going to
Yeah.
leave. And sometimes I can't actually go and pick him up. Is there a better way to do that? Like, sorry, to kind of.
Yeah, so I mean, that's not so bad. I don't think you fully have to change that. You're not saying, as long as you're not saying, I'm leaving you here then, right? You're not saying I'm leaving you. You're saying, Ian, we are going, okay? I am going, okay? You need to follow. You know he's going to follow anyway. So you're not saying, well, I'm going to leave you here. You're like, Eden, I am going. You need to follow. Okay, I'm going. Bye. And you've just given him the instructions and he does it, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you wanted to have a better way or a day where you've got a bit more energy for it or something like that, what I would say, have you already tried with him, like not focusing on the fact that you're leaving, but focusing on what you're going to do? Like, come on, let's go. Let's get in the car and play spy. Like, I've got an idea. I bet you can't guess it, or like, and you just get his mind on what next. Have you tried that? Okay.
I think all these are just refreshers in my brain to remember to reuse.
Yeah, and he's a bit older now than maybe when you tried them last time and whatever. So it's always worth trying again, even if you have tried them.
Yeah.
But get his mind focused, because his brain doesn't like leaving, right? And this is probably some, he doesn't have to have a label with it, but like it's probably a level of neurodivergence in the way that his brain needs. Like, if I'm focused on what I'm doing here, you can't pull me away from this without replacing it with something else my brain is excited to do, wants to do, that kind of thing, right? And so you need to give something of like, it could even be like, Eden, I'll race you to the car, or I'll race you outside, or hey, how are we going to get to the car today? How about we play a blindfold game, and Mummy has to close her eyes and you have to find a way to very carefully look after me and take me to the car, or, or are we going to run, or are we going to skip today? Are we going to walk, or are we going to skip? Yeah. Or, how about I put you over my shoulder and carry you like an army boy, or, like, how do you want me to carry you, like an army boy or on my back? Like, you might have to put in some effort and go, fuck, if this is what it takes for me to get this kid out of here without an issue, and I can push the pram and he can hold on like a monkey on my back or something, and then, whatever, I'll just do it. I'll put in some effort, bit of exercise, bit of, physical exertion, that kind of a thing. So you've just got to get his brain on what do we get. Hey, I tell you what, when we get to the car, you can choose the songs. What song would you like to choose? What game would you like to play in the car? Even things like, favorite song. Libby's just saying the same thing. Like, it's transitioning her kids is hard too. Honestly, it's part of neurodivergent. It's part of an ADHD. Like, their brain is like fixed on this and like doesn't want to ever be taken away from an experience, and then they need like a new experience to be able to like literally release another dopamine hit, right? Because something new, something exciting. So you've got to manage the situation. You've got to find something like that for his brain to go to.
Yeah, even us just saying his name, he's so hyper focused on things. He's not like responding when we're like, Eden.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm talking. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, definitely. Yep, that's okay. It's manageable. And it really just takes hardcore consistency from you, which is the hardest part, especially when you've got a new one. And like, let's say you need to leave, and let's say part of the reason you need to leave is because, Crystal's crying or something like that. Put it to him in a way, like, let's say you've got to, this is so helpful for like toddlers or young children when they've got a new sibling. Word to him often, bad luck, Crystal, you'll have to wait, it's Eden's turn, or something like that, right? So let's say Crystal's crying, you need to go. You're not going to deal with her here. You want to get to the car anyway. So no matter what, you're going to let her cry from here to the car, let's say. Like, you've already decided, bad luck, she'll have to deal with it because I've got to get Eden, and, it's okay if she cries for a couple of minutes while I get to the car, right? So you've made that decision. What you want to do now is, like, especially if you're pulling Eden away from something from her, you don't want him to have so much evidence that she controls our life, that I don't get to stay places because if she cries or whatever. So make it about, hey, Eden, let's go and play a game in the car. Or, I want to play ice, but I'm bored here. Let's go. How about we go? And I know Crystal's hungry, but bad luck. Crystal's going to have to wait. She can keep crying if she needs to, because right now, me and you are going to play a game. We're going to skip to the car or whatever the deal is. Sorry, Crystal, like, she's crying. Bad luck. Sorry, like, maybe not always say bad luck. Maybe just say, sorry, Crystal, you're just going to have to deal with that for a minute because I'm with Eden. Like, she's going to deal with it anyway. But let Eden hear you say that she can wait so that he doesn't feel like he's leaving because you're doing something for her. It's like, actually, she's the one that has to wait because you're doing something with him. That will also help his brain a little bit to, not feel like he needs to pull power back from Crystal, especially as she gets a bit older and he becomes more aware that she's hanging around forever, she's not going anywhere. And then they get a little bit older, then they start biting them or hurting them or putting blankets over their faces and all these kind of crazy things. Yeah, so just make sure he hears. Sometimes you say, bad luck, Crystal, you'll just have to cry. It's okay to cry, but I'm playing a game with, and then, like, let's say she's crying in the car, you just go, Eden, gosh, she's loud, isn't she? We're going to have to put the music up so we can keep singing. And like inside, you're like, fuck this, I just want to get home and like, stop this. But make it like almost you have to deal with it anyway. You can't stop her from crying. Make it like hey, she's not going to ruin our song. Let's just turn it up kind of. And he's like, yeah, and like, it's okay. Because then when you say, oh, well, you can be sad if you need to be eaten, but we are not, we're going home. If bad luck, we're going. It's like you tell him bad luck, this is the deal, and he sees you do that to Crystal too.
I think it's actually her crying that bothers him.
Yeah,
like,
it can be. 100%.
He's like, I can't, like, I wish we didn't have a baby. I said, why? And because so she wouldn't cry or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying
the sound. He's sound sensitive to things.
Yeah. I like with regards to managing these situations is a good point you raised, Libby and Tom. But if you need to get a kid out of a location, like you don't want to like feed them with food all the time, of course, but I call it a conscious bribe. Food is something that they will come for. I would suggest to, make it as healthy as you can. Like it doesn't always have to be, it could be like, watermelon and pineapple and like a little platter that you've made up or something like that or whatever. But even if you have to have a treat that you're like, okay, I want to go out into the park with my son. I'm so tired. I've got a 6-week-old baby. I want to feel like I've done something for my son. I'm just going to make it easy for myself to get back into the car once I've made this effort. Just fucking have a chocolate frog. Just be like, so what we're going to do, we're going to go to the park and tell him before you get there, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, then mummy's going to tell you, you're going to play very nicely, okay, you're going to make good choices and let other people have the playground as well, and then when it's time to go, mummy's going to eat in, don't just say, don't talk in minutes, talk like, Eden, you can go down the slide 2 more times or something like that, so it's very tangible, and then we're going to come back to the car, and when we get back to the car, and once your seatbelt's on, then you can have a chocolate frog. Like if you have to use a bribe like that or a yogurt, a squeezy yogurt, I either like squeezy yogurts, anything. If you have to use food to give yourself some sanity, just don't use it for everything, but pick your moments. I'm like, you're going to put yourself first sometimes. And if a chocolate frog gets them in the car and allows you to get home and then not be so stressed before you feed the baby or something, just do it. Just don't make your life harder than it has to be. But also don't use food as like an easy throwaway, hey, here's a frog, because then they do develop, issues, attachments to food. Yeah? All good? Let me know how you go, and I would love to see you getting Crystal to sleep a lot more during the day. I really would, because it makes your life with another child easy. Okay, give yourself that blessing. Okay, and then you'll feel so much more fulfilled when you're keeping Eden happy as well. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good Christmas, darling. All right. I think Tom, you are the last one. Have we covered them all? Oh, Shelley. Sorry, I'll come back to you, Shelley. I saw that you joined the line with someone else. Where are you? There you are. Oh. Can you unmute? Hello. You got 2 little munchkins there with you, have you? All good.
Yes, I do.
All good. All good.
They're slowly going to sleep.
Okay, beautiful. So I've got 2 things to say to you about this screen thing, because it is school holidays, okay? And my first question is for you to explore, honestly, do you really have a problem with screens? Like, because also TV is very different to being on blue screens, right? So I don't know what kind of TV exactly, but there's nothing really, like in terms of like the effect on the brain and all that. I'm not, if your kids just go, crazy after they've had too much TV, then obviously different scenario. But first of all, just explore, like, is this actually your value? Because often it's not. Often for a lot of us, we try to do things that we think make us a good parent, and then we feel bad if we're giving our kids more screen time than what's healthy for them. And at a deep level, we actually don't bloody care, because it just makes the day work. But then we put all this pressure on ourselves to have to care about something much more highly than we actually do care about it, because it's not actually our value. And, it's like, well, how bad of a problem in the first place is TV and this idea of screens? Like, is it like, can you just give yourself permission to, not care on some days or whatever. And if it is important to you to go, look, I know I do want to limit it. I'm okay with it, but I do want to limit it. Then all this anger, like this moment that you have where, where you end up, like you say, you end up screaming their house down because, they don't listen, because you've asked them 10 times. Really what's happening there is you're probably angry at yourself because, like you said, you probably wanted to say no in the first place and you didn't. You said yes you can, just because you wanted to avoid the argument. But you haven't avoided the argument. You've just postponed the argument. Instead of arguing over no TV, now you're arguing an hour later over turn it off. Either way, there's an argument, So if you can even just catch yourself in that little bit of consciousness, that little bit of like, you know what? There's probably going to be an argument anyway. If I don't want you to have the TV right now, the answer is no. End of story. There's no discussion. No, answer is no. No.
Yeah.
Why? Just because I'm allowed to say, not because I said so, because I'm allowed to say no. And when you get older, it's important for you to know that you can say no too. Because sometimes there might be people that want to do something that want you to, like, I'll say this to you, don't say this to your kids, but it's like, it's important for them to know that no doesn't need an explanation. Because one day somebody might be trying to give them a drug, somebody might be wanting to have sex with them before they feel ready, all of these, and they're just like, no, why? I don't know, just no. I'm allowed to just say no. I don't have to have a reason for why I don't want to try that drug, why I don't want to have sex with you, why, I don't want to get in that car and go home with that guy after the party. I'd rather catch a cab or an Uber. I don't feel comfortable getting in that car. I don't need an answer. And so your children will only learn that it's okay to say no without an explanation if they live with an experience where it's been okay to just say no.
Yeah.
If you think you always need a because there's always fire. Oh, but we won't. We promise we listen to her and all of this, and they're all right with, and then you give in, right? What that teaches them is, like, if you don't have an answer for why you're saying no, then you don't have the right to say no. You don't have permission to say no. If you can't explain yourself, then of why you don't want to have sex, of why you don't want to take this drug, of why would you pay $20 for an Uber? I can give you a ride. Just jump in. Like, I'm fine. I haven't been drinking. Like, it's fine. Why do you need to go in an Uber? Like, I'll save you $20. No, I just don't want to. Thanks. No, thank you. Like, I don't need to, because if I think I need to have an explanation and your reason for why I should get in the car is better than my reason for why I don't, then it's like whoever's got the strongest point wins, and then I feel like I have to do what you did because my argument isn't as good as yours, because I've learned that you have to have reasons for saying no.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
You don't have to be angry about it. The reason you're losing your kids, Shelley, is not even really because they're not listening. It's because when they don't listen, you're now in a moment of, I fucking knew I shouldn't have let them do this. I betrayed myself. I didn't want to say yes, and I did. Because like you said, I'm not good. So that is all you being angry at yourself and deflecting that feeling out onto them and blaming them for why you feel how you feel. That's where the anger is coming from.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you don't even have to work out, how do I get the kids to listen? I tell you how to get the kids to listen. You just say, oh, I'm not arguing. The TV is off, and I'm not even asking you to do it. So what I would suggest, if you really want to have a TV issue, you put up, like, you go, okay, anytime in the school, go by a timer. Anytime in the school holidays you want the TV, you only get you put the timer up on the fridge or something where they can hear it in the lounge room or something. Put it up somewhere where they can't really touch it, but they can hear it. When the timer goes off, TV off. You have 1 minute to turn it off. I'm not arguing. I'm deciding that I control what I do with my energy, and I am not arguing anymore. I refuse to argue. I'm not living in a home that has these arguments anymore. I just refuse to do it. So the timer will go off. When that timer goes off, it means the TV needs to go off. You have a choice. You either turn the TV off yourself and you show me, and maybe you'll give them a minute, or maybe they can say, Mum, it's nearly finished. It's only got 2 minutes. Can we watch it? And you might go, yeah, you can watch the end of this show, right? And then that's it, for example. So there might be some little negotiations on that, okay? If that timer has gone off and I come into the room at any moment and you guys are not on, you guys have not turned the TV off, it's gone. You don't need to ask them to turn it off, babe. turn it off yourself. Go and pull it out of the wall. Go and take the power cord out the back of the TV. That takes a whole lot less energy than you losing your shit and then feeling angry and then sitting with guilt. That takes a lot more energy than just going and pulling the TV out. It's not going to hurt the TV if you turn the power off.
I've thought about that.
Good, gone. And what I would add to that, if you need to, is it's like you get to earn points type thing. When that alarm goes off and that timer goes off, if you choose to turn the TV, if I come in and the TV is off and you have kept your word with me, right? Like you have done what we agreed, that when the timer's off, we agree, oh, I just want to watch one show. Okay, the show goes for 40 minutes. I'm turning this to 40. When that's finished, it means the show should be finished. So you can try and be a bit like that. Or you might be like, cool, you can have an hour, but I'm willing to give you an hour, but you need to understand that if you're choosing to have an hour, you can have the extra time, but what it's going to mean is you're going to be halfway through a show and I'm going to turn it off. It's going to be turned off. Are you going to be okay with stopping it halfway through the show? Because if not, then we're stopping it at 40 minutes. So you get to choose whether you turn it off after one show or whether you choose to press play again, and you can make that choice, knowing that you won't get to watch the whole of the next show because the timer is going to go off in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So you be clear with this, okay? And then it's like, hey, if I come into the room and you've turned the TV off yourself, next time you want the TV, the answer will probably be yeah. The answer will basically, if you can show me that you will keep your word and be responsible, you can have the TV. The moment you don't show responsibility, the moment that the timer's gone off and it's been an extra minute or two and you're not moving, if I have to come and turn the TV off, it's gone for 2 days. Gone. You don't get it. Answer's no.
Okay.
Or 1 day or whatever you want, like whatever you choose. But be clear on that before you start.
Yeah. He's watching, like, it's YouTube as well. It's
right.
Is that different?
No, not really.
Normal
If you're happy with the content that they're watching, like if they're not watching anything weird, like whatever, no mortality, like go and take the iPad if you don't want him to be able to go watch YouTube on his iPad or something. Just
we don't have an iPad.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, well then great. If it's on TV, if it's TV and it's, I mean, whatever. Like that's your choice to make. Like if you're happy with them watching YouTube, like I guess it depends what they're watching on YouTube. I mean, if they're watching Daniel Tiger the same way they would if they were on the TV, what's the difference? You know what I mean? Okay?
Yeah.
Then you've got boundaries and you stop betraying yourself. That's where
we actually used to have a timer, and it did work really well. So I should do that definitely again.
There you go. Problem solved. That is all. And also say no when the answer's no.
Yeah.
Sometimes give answers. So you'll say like, not right now, you can't. Like, oh, Mum, can we watch TV? After dinner, you can. After lunch, you can. So it's another way to say no without saying the word no, so their brain doesn't freak out at the word no. If you're going to say no, say no. That's it. Okay? If you're like willing to negotiate, just to help yourself make it a bit easier, try to. There's a video in the program. It's saved under the video archives. If you go right to the bottom, I've just got a whole bunch of like random videos I put in there that I created for social media, but I just put them in one place for this program. And there's a video called something like how to say no without saying no. And that'll teach you all the ways to be able to say no without letting their brain hear the word no. Okay. You know, like, Mum, can we watch your TV? Yeah, you absolutely can. Once your rooms are cleaned up. I didn't say you couldn't. I said you could after you've done this. So what that means is no, not now. But I didn't say no, not now. I said, yeah, you can at this time in this, or here's the deal. And then when the answer's no, it's no.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I'll look at. Thank you.
Cool. You're welcome. Oh, yeah, that's another one that it says in that video too. Nicole just wrote in the comments for you, Shelley. It's like you say to your kids, yeah, sometimes the answer is yes and sometimes the answer is no. And this time the answer is no. And thank you for respecting and accepting this. Thank you for accepting that. So you tell them what you want, right? So it's like sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no. And this time, so you're reminding them, I don't always say no, but I'm saying no now.
Okay.
Okay. Good ad there, Nicole. Forgot about that one. Thanks. Okay, last person is Tom. Let me find you. Oh, and Jason's here as well. Hello, Jason. All right, hello, guys. Hello.
Hello, Holly. Hello.
Hello.
How are
How
you?
are you?
Yeah, we feel better, but we still go around the subject. But we still we have family meeting last week, and we
Great.
asking Maya also because we still go around the phone uses and the social media and stuff.
Yep.
And with Aisha, with our younger daughter, 13 years old, so she said that she would like mobile data on her
Okay.
phone, so she can send pictures to her friend. But she happy with like just maximum of 15 messages a day, and with the school holiday, we allow 1 hour of using laptop at home with the like something like that, and we say that no social media. But however, Maya, she 14 and a half years old, but she could like more messages on the phone. Example, we say 15, but she say she could like more on that, and she could like still use social media.
Okay.
But yeah, and
On the messages, let me answer that bit and then we'll go into the next bit. On
yeah,
the messages, here's what I just don't know if you have an awareness how the kids use, how they talk on phones these days. It's crazy.
yeah,
Like what they do, they don't say a whole sentence. They say 3 words and send and 4 words and send. And like they do like 20
yeah,
messages for
yeah,
one 30-second conversation. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so 15 messages is probably pretty harsh. They can't even have that. That would be so hard for their friends to understand, and it would put them in a really hard situation with their friendship. So I would suggest, if you want to limit it, instead of limiting the number of messages, because what happens is they literally get told by their friends,
yeah,
like if they were to send a whole sentence, like let's say 8 or 9 lines, their friends are like, don't give me that much to read at once. Honestly, they're like, man, like I have literally seen my kids' phones where, like I, for example, have sent my kids a message and I send like a longer one, and then they just like copy and paste or forward that to each other, right? Even to like one of the other sisters or something. And they'll be like, bro, stop giving me essays. Like, and like they literally get paid out about it. It's crazy how they do it these days. But it's so stupid because I'm like, you guys have got like 4 words, 3 words, 6 words,
yeah,
all the way down the whole bloody page, which is the
yeah,
same as one whole sentence. And you're okay to read that, but you're not okay to read it all in one message. So they're a bit weird. But what that means is every single time they hit send and they talk like that to their friends, it's one of the 15 messages, right? So I would maybe suggest that you could look at a time limit, because it's also, what it does is it also allows them to communicate with their friends to say, hey, how are you? I've only got 20 minutes or I've only got 10 minutes or something. So they can talk as much as they like in that 10 minutes. Whereas if they have to limit the amount of messages, they have to go, oh, who do I respond to? Do I respond to that girl's message or that girl's message? Because they're all chatting at once. But then if I reply to her, she'll be offended. And, like it just puts them in a hard situation if it's a number of messages. So I'd probably suggest to change that to some time on the phone if you're open to that, rather than a number of messages, because then they can be clear with their friends. I've only got 15 minutes. I've only got 10 minutes. I've only got half an hour, whatever. And their friends are like, oh, cool. That means we can chat for the whole 15 minutes and they can say as much as they like, but there's still a boundary on it. Does that make sense?
yeah. We say like 15 messages or 15 minutes of calling or something like that. But when they messages before, we say that in 1 hour, they can
Yep.
start testing and stuff their friend. But like I understand now because that we try to tell them, oh, how about you message and do the long messages instead of short. But like you say that maybe
Honestly, they'll get paid out for that. They'll literally get, like, people will be like, I'm never responding to your messages. Their friends won't respond. They'll be like, I'm never even reading your messages. So then they get left out of the conversation.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just how it works.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the same for adults. I'll give you an example. I don't know if you saw, I don't know if you follow my personal profile, but I did a post. I was just saying before to Stephanie, I did a post about this free workshop I'm going to run. I shared it in this group, and it's a very long post. It's got no image, nothing, but I spaced it out. A sentence and then some white space and then a sentence and double return and a sentence and a double return. And the amount of people that will read that post, that literally will take you 10 bloody minutes to read it because there's so much. But you'll read that easily. You'll be like, oh yeah, I love that. I love it. Like, it's getting so many comments and so much interaction. If I go put out a post with one bloody paragraph that you don't even have to scroll, like it's in the screen and you can read it right there, it won't get read. It'll get 3 likes. This one's got like 80 comments.
Yeah.
Like, we're the same. We like to read little bit. We won't even read a big chunky sentence anymore.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
the thing is, so I tell Maya that, oh, you can use WhatsApp if you don't have enough messages to chat your friend, and you can use WhatsApp on laptop, because
Okay.
my personal is when I know that every time they press the button of send message, the same amount of radiation, and if the more message they send, the more. So I'm more care about that kind of, like, they
Okay.
use more phone, they will get more effect from radiation, and I try to like educate them about like what thing to eat and stuff, or what thing they can do to help to reverse some of that away.
Yes.
I also would like to limit, but like you say, that we can limit to the time and stuff. So and so we think about like we think very hardly to see that if we put blocks on the app, and she will still try to sneak behind us to use the thing, that because she says she wanted to use social media. And
yeah, just like she would like to use Snapchat to talk to her friends.
Yeah, that's right.
Friends use Snapchat, and if she doesn't use that, then she'll miss out on more the group chat. So
that is true. That is true. What don't you like about Snapchat? Can you share that with me?
We just don't know much about it, really.
We don't know much about that, but some people say that every social media website is very toxic and poison, and many research show data that the children get more under 16 get more health problem, like disorder, or about self-harm, or about mental problem, and we should careful, and we should
sure. Okay, that's fine. So if it's more just like blocking the time on social media for those reasons, I mean, it is a really hard one, because I do agree, and I am aware of, like the effects on our health. I'm a very natural health focused person myself. And I do get that. And the hard thing is, and I guess in my realm of work too, like, it isn't the same for every family, but I see a lot of it because I work with a lot of families, in that it's like, well, they can get, mental health issues because they're on social media, or they get mental health issues because they feel alone and isolated from their friends because they're not on social media. It's a real catch-22. And what is there's some really good research papers that you might be interested to look into, just so, because unfortunately, like, this is their world. Like, this is the world that we're raising them in. The same way that our grandparents thought that mobile phones were the most ridiculous thing, and mobile phones aren't good for you and they cause brain cancer and blah, blah, blah. But here we are living our lives on mobile phones, right? So it is a hard one. But there is some really good research that if you really want to reverse the effects, it's not just what they eat, that time in nature is the best and most efficient way to reverse the effects of all the EMFs. Like, I'm big on EMFs. The house that we're building, when we're building, like, what do you call it? The electrical boxes and all that. We've like made like a big wall at the front of the house, like out near the footpath and, near the letterbox, to put that on, because I don't want the EMFs anywhere near, where we sleep or the house, right? So I've literally paid money to get that away from us.
Right.
I'm all on board with this, right? But like, something I did, especially with my girls when they were, a little bit younger, or like when the eldest was a bit younger, like your age now, when I was coming into this kind of, what do I do as a parent here, was I decided, my philosophy was that for every half an hour. I doubled the time originally. This is original. It didn't work perfectly, but for every half an hour you have on your device, you have to have an hour off it. And that hour off it has to be in nature. You have to be outside. You have to be in sunshine. You have to ground on the grass. You have to connect with the magnetic energy of Mother Earth and receive the electric energy from Father Sun, because you are an electromagnetic being. Your electrical energy comes from the sun. Your magnetic energy comes from the earth. That's why grounding makes a difference. That's also the masculine and feminine polarities inside our bodies. You know, whether you go for a walk in nature, you know, whether we all go as a family to the beach, or like you have to have, and it can't just be in your bedroom and watching TV or something. Like it's got to be outside on the trampoline. Or this is why my girls originally got so big into air track stuff, you know, like tumbling, flipping, and, you know, back flipping and all these things, because that originally started with you need to be outside. You've got to be in the sun. Like you can't be inside. And so if you want 2 hours on your phone today, you know, no worries, you're going to have to spend 4 hours outside at some point in amongst that kind of a thing. So it was like doubling it, because nature and coming back to the elements, we are made up of the elements ourselves, you know, like the fire, wind, earth, whatever. And so it's like you need to have every single one of those elements in your day to rebalance your own body's EMFs. And so it's like it's not like you can't have an hour or 2 hours on your phone, but you need to balance. You need to be responsible for balancing that with putting yourself back in, you know, the habitat that we are made for, right? Take any animal out of its natural habitat and it gets sick, right? So those are the elements. So yeah, maybe you know, just with regards to Snapchat, as long as their location is turned off, honestly, personally, I mean, I've really looked into it when there was a big hype about it, right when Amani was like 13, about how it's the most unsafe platform and how, you know, pedophiles and all this. Honestly, I went so deep into that. That was the biggest scare tactic. It's like it's the same. It's the same as anything. Honestly, I personally don't have a problem with Snapchat anymore at all, as long as their locations are not turned on. As long as they're not public, so their locations are available for me and each other, like their sisters to see. So if ever I wanted to, you know, call Baya and Baya's out with a friend, I'm like, where the hell is Baya? Why isn't she picking up? Amani can go, oh, she's here. Like she can tell me where she is because she can look her up on her Snapchat, right? So it has some real upsides. It actually has some really good things about it. But don't be as afraid of Snapchat. Like if you're okay with even WhatsApp, it's like, don't be afraid of it. Like it's, as long as they're only ever adding and connecting people that they actually know, that they physically know these people or whatever, then it's, honestly, it's really not a problem. Like Snapchat got a big bad rap before, but it was blown out of proportion, and they've made a lot of changes since then, and it's a lot safer than you think. It's really not a problem that they made it out to be.
What do you think about Instagram? Because he had an account on Instagram as well, and we asked.
I personally don't have a problem with it. I'm totally okay. Like that doesn't mean that has to be your values. Look, I'm okay with it. Like my eldest daughters, I see all the benefits of it too, and I just matters to me that they balance themselves. That's all, and that they are aware of the effects of it on themselves. So, you know, I don't care about any social media. I see the good sides of it. Like my kids are quite entrepreneurial. They've built amazing businesses through social media. They've got, you know, Amani's, you know, just turned 17, and she's had a babysitting business since she was 11 years old, and she had to run that on Facebook because that's where adults are and that's where people could message her. So originally at 11 years old, she had an account connected to me so that people could easily reach out to her. It was easier, and I didn't want adults and stuff having her phone number. I preferred them to have her messenger, because at any moment we can cut off messenger or something. Like it's easy to, you know, change things, block things, like change passwords, than it is to go change your whole phone number all the time. So, you know, that, like Amani, just everything, like their connections, like their friendships, like, for example, some of Amani's best friends are that I truly like treasured, like the kind of friends I want my kids to hang out with. They're friends, like, let's say from dance. They don't go to school together, but they met each other at dance. And if it wasn't for social media, they would never have nurtured those friendships because they would have only seen their friends for 1 hour a week at dance when they can't talk to them because they have to listen to the teacher and then they've got to leave and go home. And because they made a connection at dance, they were able to take those friendships onto social media and nourish those friendships. Like they're some of their best friends, but they never went to school with them. I really like being able to broaden my children's horizons on friends, because otherwise if the only people they're exposed to are the people they go to school with, they're limited in how to choose friends because you don't want to be alone. So if you don't like that group and you don't like that group and that group are, negative and whatever, what option? That's it. Take your pick. That's the only friends you've got, right? When they can make friends with even their friends' friends. So like one of Baya's friends, Baya was at her friend's house, I think for a birthday party, and her cousin, that girl's cousin, was there. And Baya clicked with her cousin. And then they connected on Snapchat. And Baya became better friends with her cousin than she did with that friend. And like that person was an amazing friend for her for 3 or 4 years. And so what it did was it also broadened their horizons to like, hey, you don't need to hang out with people like this. Have them at an arm's length. I know you go to school with them. I know you might need to be nice because you don't have other people to hang out with, but you know they're not your real friends, because the people you catch up with on weekends that come from that school or come from dance or that you met at that party, like these are really people you want to connect with. So my kids have had situations where they've had to deal with who they're friends with at school. Like they don't want to rock the boat and have no friends, but they're like, it helps them see, I don't really like these people. I mean, I'll get along with them while I'm at school, but where I really want to invest myself, the people I really want to be friends with are people like this, over, like this person or that. So social media has had some, in my opinion, its upsides overweigh the downsides, so long as you can encourage a sense of balance with it. And it's not so much for me personally, and I'm not saying this has to be you, but for me personally, I don't really care how long you're on it, so long as you're maintaining a balance in your life and you are aware of it. If you start getting grumpy and shitty and, you start getting sick or this or that, like, or you're not sleeping enough and all that, like we absolutely nail those conversations and, pull them back into alignment. But I've always been okay with, I've just tried to see it as though they're just hanging out with friends. Like I wouldn't have a problem if they were hanging out at the next door neighbours. So that doesn't have to be your situation. You can have your own values. But I think we just at least have to hold in our minds that this is the world. Like this is where there's so many things that the world is doing that isn't good for us, right? Like honestly, but it just is the world that we are living in. And humans are a species that are adaptable, and we do have to adapt. And as we adapt and we change, our DNA changes. Like this is how evolution occurs. What we couldn't handle in that generation, like the brains and the cells of the bodies and the DNA changes, and this generation handles it better. So I trust the innate intelligence of the human body. And I try to keep my kids very educated on it, like you are. And you have boundaries, absolutely. Like boundaries are healthy. It's just really hard to let them live in their world without,
like you say, I do things research and stuff for them. Like example, I would like them to balance, because we give them phone and laptop, and if they do like that, and I say, so if you want to do this, and I give them the list, and they need to do like sunlight, earthing, fresh air, exercise. But someday, like when I come home, I check, because like suddenly I cannot like supervise them on that.
Yeah, sure.
And I ask them, they will say yes, but sometimes maybe they're not doing that.
Right. I get that. That's a really good thing that you're doing, because you're saying, like, I'm not saying you can't. You chose not to have time on social media when you chose not to go and get sunlight or not to go for a walk. There are some apps like let's say you wanted to make sure that they exercised or went for a walk or something. I don't know. Let's say you wanted them to walk around the block. Like Strava is an app that it's like, I know whether you did or you didn't, because if you go, like, I can see the map of exactly where you walked if you're on Strava, right? And they can block that from anyone else seeing it and only have you that sees it. So there's ways to get that proof, if you like. But at the same time, you can't govern every move they make. You can only and that's okay. Like,
That's okay.
you have your boundaries. If they choose to go behind your back a little bit and you can't prove it either way, then let it slide. But what you can control, when you can control it,
Yeah.
you control it. And when you can't, well, maybe they get away with it, or maybe some days you say, you know what, I'm just not comfortable with you having any social media today until I get home tonight. Like,
Yeah.
some days it works in your favor and I'm okay with it, and I don't know whether you do the things that you promise or not. Other days it goes my way and the answer is no, I'm just not comfortable with it today.
Yeah. And with the, thank you so much for that. But with the social media, you talk about like with friends and stuff is good, but like, do you concern about how they affect their thinking about their image or eating?
I do. I personally don't worry about that too much because I know that my girl's self-esteem is pretty strong.
Yeah.
I do look, whether they're on social media or not, like, they're getting messages on their image anyway, no matter where they look, where they go, even if it's, are you
Sorry.
okay? That's
Yeah,
okay.
battery go low. I should ask Jason for the
Oh, was it? Oh,
Yes.
okay.
But
No
I
worries.
can hear you. Sorry for that.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. So I wait. What was the question again?
Yeah, about the thinking about eating and image about their body and stuff.
Oh, yeah. So it is on social media, but it's everywhere. It's in shops. I think that by taking them off social media,
Yeah.
it doesn't stop that. Like, it is everywhere. Everyone talks about it. It's been in the world 3 generations. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it just happened yesterday. So I think that the best way to manage that isn't to take them away from the world, from the environment. It's to teach them how to thrive in that environment. It's to instill in them so that when they do see those body image posts or something like that, their brain is like, oh God, that's stupid, or oh gosh, whatever, like, yeah, that is a bit of a tricky one, but I think that no matter what, they get exposed to that anyway.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah.
I think it's perfectly fine for you to have some of these boundaries. Don't get me wrong, it really is. Yeah, I'd probably just definitely suggest to go with time rather than actual messages, because then I feel like that's a bit fairer for them. Otherwise, they've got to pick and choose what they respond to, and then they could offend some of their friends. Yeah, the EMFs on their brain. I mean, if there's Wi-Fi in the house, if you've got Wi-Fi in your house and there's EMFs anyway, you don't? Oh, cool. You just got the mobile data or whatever? Oh, good.
No, cable network.
Oh, right. Gotcha. Yeah, got right. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I think that's, it's fine for you to have boundaries around that, and just tell them like exactly what you've done. Here's the list. Like, if you want more time on your phone or whatever, you can have it when you've done this. I haven't seen you do it.
Yeah.
You can come up with a way to prove it to me. I don't have to tell you, give me, but you come up with a way to prove to me that you have. You can have more time. It's not me. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying you can when you tick these boxes, when you do these things. If you choose not to do those things, then you choose not to have time on your phone.
Yeah. No. Sometimes like we try to say that, but sometimes like at weekend, because we all working and they December they go to school and they will be more inside and they use Wi-Fi school, and I would like to them like at weekend we go outside and we walk and like family time and in the nature.
Yeah.
And the little one said, no, that's activity I don't like to do. I don't want to do something like that. And then sometimes she just like against that. But like the another one will be, oh no, I love the beach and go. That's fine. But like sometimes they just don't want to go out.
She sort of pointed out, for family time, she'd rather do different things sometimes. That's all.
Yeah, I've got a child like that.
Yeah. She just like, and I sort of got it to a degree because it was every weekend we'd go, like, we didn't know anyone was upset about it. Every weekend we'd go for just a bushwalk or down the beach for a walk.
Yeah.
She's like very, very sport. She likes her sport. Like, she likes her sport activity, not just having a walk. So she said about trying to find some different things that would tick her boxes as well, I guess.
Great. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, like maybe buy a sup or something and go down the beach and, get a stand-up paddleboard, or, she's probably even old enough for you to say, hey, You do what you want, we'll do what we want. Let's go to the beach. We'll leave you here near the jetty and you can play there. We're going to go for a walk and we'll be back in 45 minutes. And then we'll, she gets to hang out and do her own thing. Or I do that with my kids a bit because we like hiking and they used to all like it. And then, now one of them really doesn't. And two of them, one of the other ones kind of does it now too. And so, we'll go to, let's say, like a, what's it called, like a conservation park where you go hiking. But there's a playground there. I'm like, oh, well, I'll leave you here on the swing because she loves to lay in the nest swing. She'll go in the nest swing and, pretty much hog the swing from everybody, which is another conversation that we have. But anyway, or she'll lay on the grass or whatever. Like, you can stay here on the swing. We're going to go for the walk. We'll be back in 45 minutes. But at least she's in the sunshine. Like, even if she's on her phone, like I let her have her phone there so that she can contact me. And I'm like, hey, like, I don't want to control everything. You're in the sun. You're out of the house. You're in nature. You're on the grass. You're in some fresh air. You've had some water. We're going to have a little fruit picnic when we get back. Like, I feel like if you've ticked 7 boxes for me, then I'll tick 1 box for you and you can just have your phone while we're outside, for example, So you just do some negotiations like that. Just, yeah. I wish we could just turn off all this stuff and I really do. It is hard because, from a health perspective, all of these things I totally agree with you. But from a life perspective, it's just so unsustainable. It's just so, and also just where the world's going, how they're going to make money when it comes time for them to have careers, especially with the AI and everything right now, the careers that they're going to have are going to be something to do with it. Like, the world is their market, not just the local area now. There's so many things like that it plays a role in. So it is a juggle. It is a juggle. I don't think there's any right answer or wrong answer. I think there's just finding where you can a balance between where you can meet their needs without damaging your relationship with them, because otherwise at some point, and in 3 years from now, they'll be like, stuff you, I'm doing what I want, I'm 18, you can't control me now, and they'll go do it anyway. You know what I mean? So people are like, well, in the end, they did it anyway, and all that happened is now they don't have a close relationship to us because they don't like to tell us things, or they don't want to be judged by us, and they think that we're going to judge them, so they just try to distance themselves from us. And in the end, what we tried to control, they can't, we can't control anyway. That's always what I keep in mind. Like, if I put this in place now, like, how does that impact them or affect them or change them when they're 20? When they're 20 and maybe they're moved out of home or they're overseas traveling or whatever, like is what I'm doing now going to be able to impact that in the positive? Because that's why I'm doing it now, so that by the time you get to that age, that's valued by you, or you've already got a habit. But if me putting something in place is getting resistance the whole way through to 20, then guess what's going to happen when you're 20? You're going to run loose with that thing that you've been wanting the whole time that I wouldn't let you have, type thing. So I try to balance that. That's how I think about it when I'm trying to make my decisions on what to be strong on.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. It's very
no worries, guys.
Advice. We go through that.
Tweaking. You're making progress. Keep tweaking. Keep having these conversations. All that, and just
we're getting clearer. We're getting clearer.
I can tell.
Getting close.
And just don't put too much pressure on yourselves. I think there's a lot of pressure to be like, the parent that got it all right. Oh, do you let your kids eat that? Oh, do you let them have that? Oh, do you let them, like we just need to give ourselves some grace and just be like, sometimes it's just not even worth the exhaustion for us. Like, it's okay to not have to get it perfect, because sometimes we're doing it because not really for them. We're doing it so that we feel like a good parent. We feel like we did the right thing, So
that's what I feel. That's what. But now I had to feel like we do for them, but also have to find a way to educate them to have a balance out.
Exactly.
And then educate them about how that harmful.
Do you know another good thing that you could do? Something I used to do when my kids were younger, but this was to do with like pocket money. I wanted to absolutely brainwash their brains with success mentality, abundance mentality, thinking different to other people, things like that. So I would do things like, you can have this if you go watch this, I'll give you a 15-minute video to watch, or you can go on your iPad. After, you can't do anything until you watch the 20-minute video or the 10-minute video I'm going to send you. And I would send them Les Brown, and I would send them Jim Rohn, I would send them like Anthony, Tony Robbins, and like I would send them Brené Brown and Louise Hay. When you watch that, come and tell me 3 things you learned in that, so that I know you really did watch it. I'll pay the pocket money. I'll be like, they'll be like, oh, Mum, I need to earn $5 because I want $2 to go spend down here, because they knew they could only ever splurge half their money or whatever. We kind of taught them some money management early on. And so I'd be like, oh, Mum, I need to earn $6. Why? Oh, because I need $3 to spend. Oh, okay. Oh, and sometimes the way that I'd give them to earn money wasn't to do a chore. I'd be like, yeah, tell you what, I'll pay you $1 for every video you watch on this channel. So if you want $3, if you want $6, go watch 6 videos. I'll give you $1 for every video. So I'm like, I want it to work their brain. Like, I didn't want to see it as like, well, you have to work by cleaning the kitchen or the floors. I want you to work your brain. And I would say you need to make notes while you're watching it and come to me with the notes you've made, and I'll read your notes. And if I can see that you've watched those videos, you get $1 for every video you've watched or something. So it also gives them a positive way to use social media or to use their devices. And, in my opinion, I'm like, that's another great thing about social media or YouTube, for example, that there's some amazing stuff that you can consume that your mind would never have been exposed to if it wasn't for devices, if it wasn't for the internet.
Yeah. I was trying tell them to watch the what is called Les Brown last time, and they just say they don't like it. No, they don't like it. And I just, but I just turn on. It's like my wife to listen, and I just turn on for myself. But I think that about pocket money, they might try efforts to listen.
Or time.
And find someone they like. Say, hey, you go find if you want to be on TikTok or Insta. You go find some very positive channels to follow, profiles to follow. You show me what you're following. Because if I know that as you're scrolling, you're seeing quotes about loving yourself, about accepting yourself, as you're going, even if it's subliminal, if you're not just watching all this body bullshit, have to be skinny, have to be this, that, whatever, if you're also in there, you're following people who are got 20-second videos, 1-minute videos, and they're talking about being who you are and respecting your body and being healthy and getting sunlight and all these things. Like now I feel even more comfortable with you being on social media because you're being exposed to messages that I want you to have. So, and then what you're going to do is you're going to see a message from someone that you follow, some influencer, and that influencer is going to say what I've already fucking said to you 100 times, but you don't listen to it from me. But now that you've seen it there, now all of a sudden you're eating more fruit, you're drinking more water, you're outside stretching in the mornings, whatever. So try to find some good things in social media that you can put in you can be honest so long as you've got, a few of these things so that you're not so worried about social media being only this bad thing. You're like, I like what my girls are watching. I like what they're exposing them. If they're going to be on social media, I at least want them to be exposed to some really good things. So you might even go and choose some things that they have to follow so that as they follow them, as they're scrolling, they get that information.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. Absolutely. Shelley, just go, you can even Google it. Go and ask ChatGPT. I mean, the ones that I mentioned there were Les Brown. Who else did I say? Jim Rohn. I mean, these were people I loved listening to. The kids didn't love them. But Brené Brown, Louise Hay. But there's so many more and even better ones that the kids will connect with. These ones that I'm mentioning are old people. They're people that are like 50, 60 years old. So just to help you there, Shelley, just, go to Google and say, who are the top 10 most inspirational, motivational influencers on social media right now? And let Google or ChatGPT give you like the top 10 and then go and follow those pages. And once you follow a few, Facebook will show you ads of other people or Insta or whatever, Meta, will show you ads of more like that. So once you interact with a few, you'll start getting more like it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
beautiful people.
And,
this is go ahead.
I'm Sajid. Thank you so much and wish you a very lovely Christmas
Yeah.
and
Thank you.
New Year and everyone as well. Yeah, very, very
Thank
full
you so much. It's been so beautiful to have you as part of this community, and I'm saying that to all of you out there. Thank you for being here and showing up and investing in your families the way that you do, and being willing to shift and change yourself. I can let you know something. You can start spreading the word. We are going on an Australian tour to every city in the middle of February, like around about the 15th to 20th of February and onwards. So
Yeah.
I'll be in your city at some point at the end of February. I would love for you all to come along and meet me in person if I haven't met you in person, and to spread the word with everybody you know. All the promotional stuff for that won't be out until, you know, kind of like at least mid-January, but I will be coming to your city. So look out and make sure you arrange to come and see me in person. And in the meantime, have a beautiful Christmas. We have 2 weeks off now, so we're back on the 3rd week, which is Tuesday, the 7th of January. So don't worry, emails will go out and the posts will go up and things like that anyway. So have a beautiful Christmas. And if you are interested, for those of you that made comments, if you're interested in joining the free workshop I'm doing on Sunday, the 29th of December, all about like setting yourself up and learning your soul values to align your life with what you want in your life, then that will be, Sunday the 29th of December. And I did share the post into our private group. Worst case, go to my personal profile and you'll see it there. Okay?
Thank
All
you
right,
so much
beautiful
for
people.
that.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.